Hello everyone, and welcome to our next video in how to use WeVideo. And this particular video will really focus on working with images, panning, zooming. Some of these we've already talked about in terms of our initial course together of some of the introduction to WeVideo, but we'll look at it a little more carefully. Also, some neat ways of adding text and annotations over images to really do some fun stuff. Okay, so I'm in this simple test project and I have some images up here. Okay, so let me see if I could just zoom in on the editor here. Oh, I can't really zoom in as much as I would like to. So I'm going to get this a little bit bigger, and the timeline, there we go. That'll be a little bit nicer for us. So I'm going to zoom in on the timeline a little bit. So I'm on this particular image, and we'll click on here. Okay, and now you have some of these, like, again, these little buttons pop up where you can, do some different things, and I could edit the image. Okay, it says yes, I have active animation. I'm going to remove it just so I can sort of look at this a little bit carefully with you. And let me make this a little bit smaller so now we can see what the image actually looks like. So as we already talked about a little bit, when you click on an image, when the image is on a timeline, you can rotate the image around to give some weird effects. You can also do some reverse ways to do that. Okay, we can also flip it, so have them looking the other way, or even upside down, right? So we can have some fun with that. We can fit the image, okay, or we can do that, so you can kind of scale it the way you want, okay? And you can also make the image smaller or bigger right here on the particular screen, okay? And again, you can actually click on the little preview editor here, and we can actually move the image around to different areas. We can show a grid so you can get a little more precise action on that, okay? And I think that would be really kind of nice. Okay, now the blurred image aspects, right? You can actually blur, right, a little bit in case you have something behind it. So if we did this and we had an image behind it, this is kind of looks a little nice. So see how it sort of blurs it. So even though you don't want to hit that black box around it, you can blur the image a little bit, a little more of a nicer, refined touch. Depends what look you're actually going for. Okay, now in terms of animation, we already talked about this a little bit. You can have the image fade in and fade out, which is kind of nice. And you can have this little settings comes up, and you can change the seconds and how much visibility. You want this to be really transparent or opaque. You can kind of play around with the values there, and that's really what you're really looking for. You can actually change these sliders a little bit to sort of change those particular settings, which is kind of fun. Okay, but I like to just use this basic one, and I can start off and I can get really close, perhaps into Lincoln's eyes, right? And then at the end, I can sort of fade out to that position, or I can even make it smaller, have the image fade out, which would be fine too. I can go to I can then do a little preview. So that looks nice, right? Okay, let me pause that. All right, so I can do that, and that's certainly fine. Now, let me give you another example here. And if you do the FX, you can add a certain effects to the image. You can kind of change the color of it, or you can kind of give it some older sort of transition feel to it. Now you get a little bit of that faded look to it. It looks more like an older photograph, right? Okay, so you can do some different things, and you can also adjust the fading in and the fading out here in terms of how opaque it is. So again, you got some nice options here in terms of right on the actual image, okay, which is really kind of nice. Okay, now what I also want to show you is that sometimes I have students who want to perhaps fade in and then keep on an image for a little bit of some more time. So in the last Lincoln clip, he just went right, to that zoom in, getting the music up, and that was that. Well, maybe you want to actually zoom in or zoom out and then just keep Lincoln steady for a few moments. So let's actually go over to this part. So I have this cemetery clip, right? And I got this particular image here, and I'm hoping it's still up so I can find it. There it is. And I'm actually going to drag another one right next to it. Okay, so I actually have the same image back to back. Okay, and let me actually move this down a little bit because we got some text going on here. Okay, awesome. So we have this image here. I'm going to move it over. Okay, and I'm actually going to adjust my zooming and my panning right now. Okay, I'm going to, hopefully I want to just erase all of this because we got some. I'm going to remove, I'm going to remove all of it. So there's the original image. Okay, and what I might do now is I'm going to go to my animation section, and I'm actually going to start really close in on the image, and I'm going to move it down. I'm going to try to start at the top of that statue. Let's see if I can get that. All right, give me a second here. I'm getting a little fussy. All right, perfect. That's what I wanted. And I'm going to end at the way the image was. Okay, then I'm going to go done editing. And then this image, let me open this image up. You can also double click on it. All right. And I really want it the exact same way. And it looks like it's a little bit different in terms of how it's going to look. So I'm going to keep it like that. So now it looks like the other image. So now when we play this particular image, you can watch the timeline here. Okay, I'll start over here. Okay. Get that text on there. So here comes the image. So you see how it just stayed there? And let me see if I can just mute this clip for now. I don't want to get rid of it. I like to mute it, but there we go. Let me just mute this track for now. Okay. So let me show you that again. So I'm going to click over there on the timeline. I'm going to play. And now here comes our zoom out, right? And now it just stays at that one spot. So I think that's a nice way to actually do that. Because if you wanted to talk more with that image and you just elongated this image, it would just make the transition be slower. Okay, it really wouldn't stop the transition. So maybe you would want to actually see that image there at a still spot for a little bit more time. Now, see how it's slower now? As you elongate it, the animation's slower. And now it's going to hit that next image, and you don't even know there's two images there, really. But now it keeps it in that one spot. Okay, so that's kind of a nice thing to actually do. All right, I kind of like that. All right, so there you get some nice ways of kind of panning and zooming and so forth. Now, you can also add some of these cool like text annotations on top or anything on an image. So I want to kind of experiment to show you some of the differences here. So I'm going to go to the A in the annotation areas, and we got some of our motion titles, which we've already talked about, which you could also add over a text or behind it. All right. Okay, and then we certainly have some of the call outs here, which I think are kind of nice too. So maybe we wanted to add an text box or an arrow, right? We wanted to actually place it somewhere on the image, right? Does that make sense? So we're going to insert it, and if I push it, it's going to put it in the middle of it. So that, watch this. So now it's going to be nothing behind that image. All right, so I just want to show you some of the problems that you might come across. So we really don't want that. So I'm going to kind of get that out of there, right? So now we drag it and we put it over here, right? It's still going to be over the top of it. Okay, now here's what I want to show you. If I put this arrow over here, all right, now you say, okay, so let's see what happens here. Put the arrow over there, but I'm not really seeing the arrow at all on my screen. Okay, I'm still getting that one instead. Okay, so basically we have to kind of move some things around here a little bit. So I'm going to make my background always be video 1. So I'm going to put this over here. Okay, just get rid of this clip for now. All right, and now we'll put the arrow kind of over here, and now you see the arrow. Okay, so that's important. So the background image has to be on video 1, and now the arrow has to be on video 2. But now we can adjust that arrow a little bit in terms of, I just double clicked on it, and now I can move it around. So I can move the arrow around, and I could actually do some positioning of the arrow. All right, and I could kind of click on part of it, and I can move it a little bit. Okay, and I should be able to, having some hard time clicking that one spot, but I can change the color of it, certainly. Okay, and then I also have the start. I can even do some zooming in on it. It can be bigger or smaller. Okay, I can do some of that on there. If I click on it again, we get back to the other spots of it. Let's remove it. Okay. And we can kind of move the one dot down, and I can do that. Or I could move the one dot up, and I got it. So, or I could take this dot and I can move it, and now the arrow gets a little bit bigger. So now we can kind of mess around with it, and I'm done editing. So that's the way you would add that, okay, is you would basically put it in there in that respect. It's got to be on video 2 if your image is on video 1. That's an important tip. So another one you can do, get rid of that one. Wanted to keep that there. Let me get rid of that particular part. Let me go to this one, the text. This is kind of just be some simple text on the background. And let's actually, like, now I double clicked on it and I can move this around. Okay. And I can kind of change some things. I can write my text here. You know, I can do something like a monument or something. Monument. Okay. I can change the font. Okay, whatever the case may be. I can change the color of the call out. So there's the color of the text. This is the color of the background color. This is the text, right? So you can change some things here in terms of your justification, that kind of stuff. So let's actually change the background to blue. Okay, and let's change the text color. Sorry, it keeps on popping up to there. So we got white. It's kind of I don't like that as much. Let's just get rid of that. It's like the highlighting of it. Let's put it back to what it was. And let's change the text color to white. Okay, now you got our little arrow here. So I can move this down. It's going to go. And I can move our arrow up a little bit. Okay, so that looks kind of nice, right? So we got our positioning, we got our line height. We can change that a little bit. We can change our spacing a little bit. Kind of mess around with these sliders. We can change the size of this a little bit if we really wanted to, the text. Okay, so we got some nice things there, right? So we can auto shrink, or we can auto adjust the text box size, which is nice. And then we can even do some animations on it if we really wanted to and make that kind of pop or go someplace. So we can start off small and we can end like that, and we're done editing. And now we'll bring this back over here, our slider, and we'll play it. So now we got that annotation, okay, which is, good if you want useful, if you want to like point something out in a video, and there you have it. Okay, so that's kind of a nice thing to actually do. All right, so remember, the video, your image always has to be in the video 1 spot. Okay, that goes for anything. So I can even add a motion title to this, right, which would be kind of nice. And maybe we want to put in a lower third. I can go down here and I can add a lower third over it. Okay, and I can just double click on it. It's going to open it up, and I can just say something like cemetery, or I can just say something like, just do monument, whatever. It could be a secondary text underneath it. Civil War. You can change all your colors if you really wanted to. Okay, I think that you can change your font sizes and so forth. You can make this a little bit bigger. Okay, click on this. You can make it bigger and so forth. I can do manual. I can make it bigger. Okay, so a little bit bigger text size. So I can mess around with that. A little hard to see that one, so I may change the color, maybe like black. And we'll see if that's a little bit better. It's okay. But I just want to give you you can really get carried away of all your adjusting and the scale of it. We can make it even bigger. And we can always move stuff over too, right? So we can kind of move this around a little bit where we want to put it on our screen. So I'll be done editing, and now we'll put it over here, and now you got this comes up, okay? Which is kind of nice, the monument. So that's a nice professional touch to it of adding lower thirds, okay? So those are really useful because you can do a lot of neat annotations, and there's a few different types of lower thirds. There's a basic lower third. There's this more glamorous one we can kind of do. It gives you a little preview of what it actually looks like, and you can change it to what you want, okay? And that's just the basic one. So there's really some of the great things of adding some annotations and text over the video. We also can always add these overlays, and there's a couple overlays in different spots. If I go to the graphics section, you have this kind of like 35mm sort of overlay, and if we play it, the image should appear in there. So you got this kind of like little film overlay over it, which is kind of nice. All right. And then you could pick a lot of different things, and they have some, this vignette. I believe it just makes it look kind of old. All right, so we can just try it. And I could take the vignette, and I could put it over there. All right, and then it gives it kind of a neat appearance of an old photograph, kind of the lines going through it, which is kind of neat. So again, there are a lot of really kind of neat features here and functions you can do with this. You have different kind of overlays. You get some nice animated ones in the background here. I've seen students like do kind of like a, more of a like a comic book kind of thing, which is kind of neat. And they do like the pow comes up, right? Pow, right? That looks kind of fun. And I've seen them. I haven't played with it too much, but you can like adjust the spacing. You can adjust the animation on there and the brightness. And I don't believe you can change. You can change the actual text, which I thought would be kind of fun. You could add different things to it, but you actually can't do that, which is fine. Solid background, different colors. We'll get into that a little more later. These are more animated graphics, which are kind of neat. This one we might not really see it unless we make our image smaller. Right? We make our image smaller. Whoops, done editing. I'm in the wrong one. Okay, let's just see what happens here. Oh, there we go. I forgot. I made a mistake. When you do an animated background, the animated background has to be in video 1. So we'll take that out. We'll put animated background here. Do that. And let's see what happens. So we'll do the animated background. And then the image will come over it. But then if we made this image, the scale of it a little bit smaller. Right. Oh, that's the animation. Don't mind me. I'm trying to do this quickly here. Let's make the scale of it. We'll remove it. We'll make the scale of that a little smaller. We'll be done editing. And now when we play it, you get the animated background behind it. So again, we're learning some things here together. Certainly, sometimes you forget the order of things. An animated background has to be in video 1. If you're going to add an image over the animated background. If you're putting text on the image has to be in video 1 in order for the text to actually show up. So there we go. And now we got some really cool ones here, some new ones that they've added in terms of like warp speed and some really kind of neat ones for Earth. A lot of space, ones that are being added here, which are kind of nice, which are kind of fun. And we can just get out of here because they have space. You can search through all of them, but there's a lot of really great overlays they've added and different things that are happening. So there you go. So there's some fun things in terms of panning and zooming and adding text and annotation overlays. So I'm looking forward to see what you come up with as you try these out. All right, have a great day and take care. Bye-bye.